So the Modelling Evidence and Policy Group at Newcastle University is a range of expertise working from large ecosystems to individual species, using applied modelling methodologies to understand wildlife populations. The reintroduction of beavers into Great Britain is a hot topic at the moment. There's a lot of divided opinion about what the best solution is. We have beaver populations appearing and some licensed applications to reintroduce beavers, but knowing where they are best to be placed into the landscape is problematic. There's lots of conflicts that can arise, and the greater understanding of what those might be and where they might occur is needed. We've been working with different government organisations to understand how beavers interact with the landscape, and we have a model of how the beaver populations could grow. We've been working with them to use their survey data based on field surveys of where the beavers actually are to implement a real world model. Our model of the beaver population just describes basically how the population would grow, what the births, deaths and marriages would be within the population, and how they interact with the landscape, where they would move. Our model required expertise to be able to run, and we realised that the practitioners who would be using the model needed something simpler that they could engage with and put scenarios into. So we created a Beaver App.
It's possible to design wildlife population models for a site, for a species, given a certain scenario, but it takes a lot of time. And with the app, it's possible for practitioners to do that quickly wherever in the UK. So there are a few different approaches that people might want to test. There are two kinds of beaver population that you might want to include in your model. Established population, we just put a dot on the map and you end up with a territory. Or you might want to test whether some release locations are suitable for your next reintroduction. So first you would locate these points, territories or release points on the map. And then you can just run the model for a few years, and every year it will go through that process of trying to find a place to settle, the population will grow. And the end result is a summary over these repetitions. Beavers are going to be reintroduced in the UK. They're often mentioned as a big element of rewilding because they change their ecosystem a lot, and often in a good way for biodiversity, but by changing the ecosystem they obviously affect anyone else using the landscape, and that can give place to a lot of conflicts if it's not done in a way that's planned. And by using this tool we can both try and avoid conflict, but also involve people by showing all kind of like the planning and the expected output, and demonstrate any mitigation plan that we want to maybe put in place if there is any risk. And I think that is important to ensure that the operations are successful, both for the beavers' well-being and the locals.
The work we do within the Modelling Evidence and Policy Group is often very applied in its nature. So we have long-standing relationships with different partners in organisations that work closely with government and will be implementing policy decisions. So our work is really about building some of that evidence that they need for implementing their policies. So at the moment, beavers in England have just been legally accepted as a species that can be reintroduced into the wild rather than just into enclosures. So we'll now see the app being used by practitioners to evaluate licence applications as they come in, and it will form part of the evidence base for decision making.
Practitioners are the ones making decisions, but I think it's important to give them access to what we learn from the data they provide and what they do, and provide them with the science that will help them make science-based decisions for wildlife management especially.
I think our project has demonstrated that models, and particularly individual-based demographic models, can be useful in providing evidence for policy making. The project has shown that we can make models accessible to practitioners. They don't need to be experts in modelling to be able to use them.